I can absolutely not believe people back in the 70s and 80s used to tour with this thing. Tour every weekend. It's insanely heavy, especially with the case. And if there's one occasion for epic Zelda chest opening music, it's now. This thing is epic. Ooh. The stickers maybe already giving it away. We got here a fully original Moog, mini Moog from the 70s in almost perfect conditions. Almost. There's like one key that is a little funky, but it still plays. A second one. Two of these metal stickers are missing, and that's it. It's the iconic, legendary one. Really, I can't believe that it's so old and it still looks so good. I tested it with headphones at the guy's place where I actually bought it. It was so cheap. Like a no-brainer. I couldn't say no. I had to get it. I could instantly sell it and make more out of it. And my synth guy told me to fix these little problems. Costs almost nothing and is done within like 2 or 3 days. But hey, enough talking. Let's hook it up. Ah, looks so good. Wow. Ooh, satisfying clicks. It's crazy because I know this thing by heart. I know what everything does, although I never actually owned it. I know it's so good from the plugins. And before we get into any kind of discussions, I've watched like countless videos, and you probably too, of like comparing a software synth versus the real deal. And usually in blind tests, most people can tell them apart. Especially if you like use it within a song and start compressing, EQing, and there are other elements going on. That's definitely not one of the reasons why I got it. Although I have to say it sounds really powerful. Oh, it's hard to describe. I also would love to answer because like more and more people ask me, because I switched more and more to analog gear. Why? Because like back in the days, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was like, it's not necessary, you don't need it. And now all of a sudden I'm getting a bunch of stuff and there's even more planned. I would love to address that really quick, but first. Feels good. But yeah, the sound is not the main reason. I think you can perfectly produce a worldwide hit without no acoustic treatment, without no synthesizer, analog gear, no compression. Like it's part of making music, but it's not part of being successful with music. Or maybe to a tiny extent. I still believe in like well-produced technical music has a higher chance to succeed. But as you know, in the past, there's some trash songs that are huge chart hits. It's a matter of how people perceive the music, normal people, not other music makers. And if they like it and it's played enough on the radio, they'll like it even more, and eventually it's a hit. That's a whole nother mechanism that is partially decoupled from the music making process. Of course, if you have a hooky melody, it helps. But it's like a two-part thing, like hype and marketing and right place, right time, luck, and the music making craft. And having like real analog synthesizers is definitely not really part of it. Then the second reason, as I already mentioned really briefly, it's kind of an investment. I have some spare money. I have absolutely no hobbies. I turned music, my hobby, into my job, and now I'm like, whenever I'm not working, I'm completely bored, or I then start working again because I love it so much. Collecting synths is kind of my new hobby and an investment at the same time. Most of the stuff that I buy, actually so far everything except for the really new ones that are still available to purchase, are increasing in value. And I don't have any clue about bitcoins and stocks. That's not my thing. So I just buy synths and I get to use them while they increase in value. And that's also the main reason that justifies the high price. If you're a beginner, you can't afford any of this, don't worry. There are plugin versions available, and it's plenty to get started. It's plenty to, like, throughout your whole career. There are other producers out there that sell all of their gear and just work in the box. That's totally viable. Which also leads me to the next point why I'm switching a little. I'm a DJ for almost 20 years, producing for almost 15. I'm getting a little bored with my usual workflow in a way. Like, I know my plugins, I know how to set everything up, and every song I do kind of the same thing. And now switching to a retro analog kind of workflow more and more kind of forces me to do and discover things in a new way. So for me, it's kind of exciting. Another point, and that's actually maybe the only one where I think it improves my music, is maybe easiest to showcase, because I wanted to start a new song anyways today. In simple terms, it's kind of more fun. I can't explain it, but I'm just faster. I enjoy it more, and the working on something, twisting knobs, kind of does something. And especially while recording it, you automate it. And I'm so lazy when it comes to automating in Logic. I just hate it. So whenever I record something, it's way more interesting. It moves a lot more over time, which is very, very important for my kind of music. So that's kind of the why I'm switching more to an analog kind of workflow, but I'm not switching entirely to analog. I think there are some things where it just doesn't make any sense at all. You might have noticed, like, my rack over here, it got emptier. There were a lot of like processing units, like compressors, limiters, and I still have them. They're down below in the B Studio, where we do all of the mastering and mixing for clients, where it makes a lot more sense. And some clients just request analog gear because they don't have it and they think it's better. But I'd argue usually it's more about the engineer than about the equipment. I think they could achieve the same with more experience and knowledge. But that's just the way the business works. People want to have their stuff like being processed with analog gear. For myself and my own music, I'm switching like 80% analog for the sound creation, like the synthesizers. I also have here the Waldorf Iridium, which is like fully digital, but also here haptic, and it just does things that are crazy. It can basically do everything. Right here on this song that I started, it's just like playing like a small particle for the background ambience. The Moog is playing the bass, the OB6 is playing the ARP. That's kind of my input workflow into the DAW. Once it's recorded and in audio in there, I use almost 100% plugins. EQing, compression, weird effects. Like I like to have this first initial half hour to an hour, maybe half a day working with stuff, recorded, and then just be fully flexible. It just, I don't know, it frees up my mind. It's like 2 stages, because I'm a producer, mixer, master. I do everything myself. So it sometimes happens that I master one of my own songs and I realize, oh, I don't like the kick. And then I start like switching out the kick, and then maybe the bass. And then I'm back actually to like the initial part of creating the song. And as I already explained in another video, my work philosophy is just like doing a lot of drafts. And that's what I do right here in the first half hour to first half day. Record it in there, do a couple of them a week, and then decide which one of them is the best, and then start like the whole processing kind of workflow than within the box. Basically, like back in the days, you had like a separate recording session with the band, and then you started mixing separately and mastering separately, and usually different people were taking care of this to get like the best possible solution and best possible result. And this is kind of mimicked a lot of here in my workflow. It works for me. For you, maybe something else works better. Maybe you need the flexibility to change everything every kind of second. For me, it helps to have some things like hardwired in audio in my DAW and not change them again. So that's basically my workflow. I'll continue today doing more drafts, playing around more with this little machine right here. And yeah, let me know about your workflow, what works best for you. Are you full in the box, full analog, both kind of combined? I think everyone needs to find a solution for themselves. And I think we all also need to accept that other people work in a different way, and that's the beauty of music making. There is not one solution that is the best. And also to all beginners out there, again, it's not necessary. I started with like the cheapest Yamaha speakers and all cracked, downloaded from friends kind of CDs, DVDs, plugins, and worked my way up. You can do the same, no problem. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video. Sign out.